if you want to get more flexible, you're going to have to put more work in. But once you're there, maintaining it, piece of cake. But it would take effort to make it go away again.
Yeah.
You would need to have habits going the opposite way, which is encouraging because once the habits are in place, it should be simple enough.
It's time to stretchy stretch.
Welcome to You Can Fix You, giving you mobility tips to build movement freedom and train with confidence.
Alrighty, episode 3, Tom, what's a fridge brick?
A fridge brick. Well, first of all, what's a fridge? Something that doesn't bend. Something that keeps your food cold.
You know what else doesn't bend? A brick.
A brick. So completely immovable object is a fridge brick. So it's a term that we like to use to describe someone that is horrendously inflexible, which is where I effectively started. So for any of you guys that don't know, I didn't start doing any kind of training until I was about 24, 25.
Sure.
And I expected to just be able to go and train like anyone else. But turned out I couldn't move like other people. I wasn't a real boy yet.
Yeah.
So anytime I tried to do anything, I couldn't replicate the movements in the right way. My knees would cave in if I tried to squat. If I tried to put my arms above my head, I had to arch my back. If I was trying to do any kind of movements that required any level of flexibility whatsoever, I just wouldn't do them. I'd be like, that's a stupid movement. So I wouldn't do it. So a fridge brick is someone that really needs to work on their flexibility so that they have the ability to move the same as everyone else, so they can actually get the gains that other people can get and not hurt themselves. So it's not a thing to take lightly.
Sure.
We do like to mess around and say, haha, I'm a fridge brick, but it's like you really got to work on improving how your joints move in that case.
Yeah, because we try to keep things light and fun. If somebody is super stiff, we don't want them to feel like, oh, well, I'm just super stiff now, I have to accept this. Like, no, like we can work on this. But it is worth noting like how debilitating and how restricted you are if you don't have those ranges. Like you were saying, you went to do an exercise and you weren't able to do it properly, so then you're not going to get the right training effect from it.
Yeah, so, but even mentally like that, it hurt my ego a lot.
Yeah.
Like there was guys in the martial arts class, and whenever we were doing the ground stuff, you were trying to, like if you had to have hip mobility to do certain submissions and stuff, I just couldn't get them. And it made me feel stupid.
Yes.
Like I was like, oh, I'm just stupid. I can't get that. But it was purely because my joint didn't move. Like my hips wouldn't move. So I couldn't put someone in a triangle choke.
And then you start to identify with not being good enough or not being worth, and then your self-worth really plummets to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. And then just even in my own grappling experience, as soon as I got taken down, it was like I didn't want to be on my back because I was like, I'm screwed if I get on my back here. So my fighting style then became, I must get on top of someone and just pummel them. I have no technique anywhere else, you know?
Sure.
So it was really limiting that way for something I wanted to be good at.
Yeah.
So, but again, like at the time I didn't know I could change that level of hip flexibility. I just thought I can't do that. And I just stopped at that.
Yeah. And I guess in that example as well, like, I'm going to use a term here. You can tell I don't really know martial arts very well. A rear choke, like for you, it might not be very hard to put you in that position, where for somebody else, it'd be like you have to work really, really hard because they can absorb that extra range of motion or whatever. So you're more open to being injured. You're more vulnerable because you have less safe movements you can do.
Oh yeah. Like if for any of you guys that ever would do martial arts and grapple with someone, whenever you go against someone that's like really flexible, but also really stable and strong as well, they're a nightmare to play with. Like what we actually call it, like playing. They're so hard to, submit and tap out. And you're like going, is your arm going to snap here? Because it keeps on going. But it's just, if you got that level, it just gives you that extra bit of wiggle room. So moving better, especially in a martial arts term, is just so helpful.
Sure. And so if you are horrendously inflexible, what we want to try and look at now is maybe, well, what would you do to help you start to improve your sort of muscle activation in different positions and try to get like stronger through your ranges? What would they have to do?
I like to get people to do movements that require large ranges of motion that will just improve with practice. So for me, the biggest one is like the likes of a split squat, and to change it so that you're like elevating the front foot, so that the person can get into the deeper positions without, if you just say to someone that can't squat, for example, just sit in your squat, it'll improve. It will not. They'll pinch at the hips. They'll be sore. Like their legs will go to sleep. It just doesn't feel nice. If you can't squat, it doesn't feel nice to squat.
Yeah.
So you want to break it in half almost. So you use lunges. So you do one hip at a time, one leg, one knee, and one ankle at a time. And that way you're able to use the other leg to support you and use your hands to help you hold on so you can actually get some time in the position. Because if you don't feel comfortable trying to work on something, the amount of time you're going to spend is very, very small. You're going to be like, right, I'm done. That's fine. That's plenty. That's enough. So you want to have movements that you can pick that you're able to spend the time in that will gradually improve just by exposing yourself to them. So what would you pick?
Yeah. Well, I was just thinking, because that you're effectively trying to like bully yourself into doing it, but you don't want to bully yourself. Like, I can't think of a single thing that I was bullied over that I then stuck with or like improved. And easing yourself in with that single-sided stuff is great. If we were to use the squat example, maybe a better way to do it, instead of just like, no, sit on the bottom and make it better, is like, give yourself a target to sit to. So you're working to a bench, and then you can lower the bench over time, and you're building that strength over the range. But it's the same principle. It's just how you approach it.
Yeah. You got to track your progress. That's a really good one to track. You know, you want to see something changing, because otherwise it's just like stretch. Well, like how long for? How do you know when I'm done? You want to actually see, I was squatting to this height this week. Now I'm squatting to this height this week. That's great. You know, and visually, like filming yourself as well is really, really helpful tool. So you can actually look for changes.
Oh, for sure.
And like at first, when you first film yourself, it's like, ooh, I don't like that at all. I didn't realize I looked like that. Yeah. But then the more you do that, you're like, oh, I can see where I can fix things here and neaten them up a wee bit. And then when you start coming towards moving better, it just starts to get really subtle. But if you've been training your eye with the more obvious things, you'll be able to pick up on those wee subtleties as well.
And especially like, we all wake up sometimes and one side's slightly different than the other, or sometimes it's a long-term thing. And without that visual cue, like when we were in Barcelona, I was doing some upper body thoracic work, a little bit of bridge stuff. And Tom came over and just like readjusted me by what felt like 3 feet. I had no concept that I was uneven, but you just lifted that slight bit. And that's what a video can do for you, you know, tracking or have someone that you train with that can help you kind of make sure you're even on both sides.
And it's another good point for actually doing one side at a time, that you're able to catch like imbalances that you might have. Whereas you wouldn't, like if you just sit into your squat or whatever, you might not notice your hip shifted to one side, or, you know, knees caving in slightly more. Whereas if you're using the likes of a split squat, you can see everything's in a nice straight line. And when you do the other leg, oh, my knee's pointing over there, my hip's shooting out to the side, my foot's sideways. Yeah, like what is that? And you're able to see differences side to side, which is just a really good habit to get into.
Yeah. And then you can start to, because there's that sort of hierarchy of like, you start off, you're unconsciously incompetent. So you've no idea that you don't know anything. And then you become aware that you don't know anything. And then you start to become aware that you can change it, but you're not sure how. And then you can totally control all scenarios. So the video really helps to get that initial step of like, oh, that's not how I felt it. And then you can calibrate your thoughts and feelings to what you see. And then you can either start with the side that wasn't as good and maybe come back to it at the end. So you do one set on the bad side, one on the good side, and then come back to the bad side. Or you're just matching the good to the bad. Like there's a few tactics you can try with that.
The big thing to note as well is when you are starting to make an improvement on things is like how different you feel when you're doing exercises. Because when I was first starting off, everything always hurt all of the time, which I thought that's how training's supposed to feel. So if you're horrendously inflexible, you can think, you know, oh, your knees and your back's supposed to hurt when you squat, and they are not. So the big difference for me now is like that I do have that level of flexibility now that I can squat. I was like, I like squatting now. It's like I feel strong after squatting. My glutes, my hamstrings, my quads, everything feels worked all together, rather than just before. It just used to be like the inside of my knee, and you know, I would just feel my quads. I wouldn't feel anything else. So yeah, it's just important to keep that in mind, that you're doing it to make your training better. So you get stronger, don't get injured, and recover better as well.
And I think as well, like if you are naturally stiff, you could also look at that as, a lot of people would class that as they're actually naturally strong. It's like, oh, I'm too strong to be flexible. And what often happens in those cases is that if you're that strong and tight and restricted, actually going to do a stretch is going to be very difficult because you're not strong enough to get into the position. So you might need a weighted exercise to give you that extra like pliability, that extra stretch into position. The Jefferson curl, I think, is a great example of that. You can reach down and touch your toes, but if all the muscles down the back end of you are so tight, your front can't pull you, but the weight can. And you just get that much longer stretch, but also you have to work to come back out of it.
Mhm.
So it's like a win-win on both ends.
Yeah, building strength while you've improved your range of motion. Best way to do things.
Yeah, sounds like a win-win to me.
Yes.
So is there anything else, like, I know in the Zenith you always talk about breathing or the tricks like that we can use to sort of become less fridge bricky?
Less fridge bricky. Yeah, you can't, like you said, bully your way into positions as well. So you want to show your body it's a safe position to be in. So your breathing is really helpful there. So if you're trying to improve a stretch, you can't just go "Hey!" and expect it to get better. Whereas if you actually go and try and relax everything, the muscles are then going to tend to give you a little bit more to work with then in that case. So it's really important to keep that in mind, that you're gradually trying to improve it. Don't try, like, it would be better to stretch a little bit every day, keeping your breathing nice and relaxed, rather than having this mad 2-hour stretching session where 3 people come in and pull your leg apart, and you're just screaming, let's go. Yeah. And it's like, you'll get fed up very quickly. You'll probably not go back. And you could hurt yourself. So it's better to build it up gradually, because then you're sort of like teaching your body to keep it as you improve it, rather than just making a ton of progress and then it's all gone by tomorrow and you're too sore to do anything again.
Yeah,
so it's better to take your time. So teach your body gradually, because it's a brand new range of motion for you. Like, you have to remember, if you're super inflexible, as soon as you can start to get new ranges, you haven't been there for years.
Yeah.
So it's like starting your training all over again. So you can get like serious DOMs, like from just stretching essentially, because it's a brand new exposure to the tissue that you have. So you're just going to feel that feels a bit like weak there, so it takes a bit of time. So that's why you want to combine a good lengthener with a good strengthener as well.
Yeah. So we've looked at there a number of tactics for the inflexible to get more flexible. One is approach one side at a time. Another is set yourself more manageable targets so that you're working in a controlled range for now and build that up over time. We're looking at potentially weighted exercises. We're looking at breathing, both by using your breath out to increase your contraction and also keeping it relaxed so that you're not forcing yourself in shape. And then the frequency, you're really looking at doing something daily so that every day your body is encouraged, no, we want to have this range. We want to feel strong and stable and safe.
Yeah. It comes back to creating habits again. So if you're doing the things that require you to use flexibility, you're probably going to find you're more flexible. So as you see it in countries that would just sit and rest and squat, or they sit on the floor to eat and things like that, they generally have less hip mobility problems than what we would over here, because we're just always sitting in the chair and stuff. So little things like that as well do go a long way.
Yeah. So when somebody's starting out in this, it can seem quite overwhelming, because you probably have to do it more frequently than they're used to. They're having to do a lot of stuff, put a lot of effort in to get their momentum going. Is that going to continue? Are they just going to, is this a lifestyle change now? Is like, no, for the rest of time, I'm going to have to do daily mobility. It's going to take me 45 minutes. Like, what's realistic for people here to expect?
Put the work in at the start, and once you've made a change to how your body moves and you've like ingrained that in, it will stick. It'll become how you move. And then you just use that moving to keep it. So it's much easier to maintain than it is to actually gain it in the first place. So, but use that as a motivation. It's like, look, I'm only going to have to do this once. Like, I'm going to have to work really, really hard to get the hang of this. And then I can just squat. I can just hang. I can do pull-ups. That's my mobility, because I'm doing them right now. It's a big thing. It's like, no, I'm not compensating all the time. No, I actually feel good, So it is a bit of work at the start, and, tracking the progress and everything. But when you do start to move better with a couple of things, you start to get faster at attaining new things as well. So if you say you've really improved your shoulders a lot, you're going to find it much easier to improve your hips as well, because you've done it before somewhere else. So you're going to find it more transferable. So you're actually going to be able to make faster progress that way. It's like the more things that you learn and figure out, the better you get at learning and figuring out. So it carries over your flexibility as well. So it's a bit of work, a bit of a slog at the start, but it's totally worth doing. And then, like I said, it just becomes how you move.
Sure. I think it's useful to have like an analogy for that as well. Change is just expensive. You think like electric car is a good example here. It's expensive energy wise to accelerate, change speed. It's expensive to brake, change speed. So they've got regen braking that can actually get energy back by slowing down. It's relatively simple to maintain a speed. And it's the same here. If you want to get more flexible, you're going to have to put more work in. But once you're there, maintaining it, piece of cake. But it would take effort to make it go away again.
Yeah.
You would need to have habits going the opposite way, which is encouraging because once the habits are in place, it should be simple enough. So speaking of wins, actually,
Oh,
you have put down Mr. David Sweeney.
David Sweeney. The man
David
himself.
Sweeney.
He had hips as tight as mine.
Wow. I mean, yeah, that sucks. Sucks for you guys. So David had a comment put through. He's been waiting a long time for this. He got his elbow down on both sides, presumably in the deep lunge rotation.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Long time coming.
Big milestone for a lot of SMMers when they start is getting that range out of their hip. So this has taken him 11 months and 13 days to the day. Wow. 13 days of working on it every day. There may have been an expletive in there. He did his head to toe, his SMM sessions, TBR, thoracic bridge press,
Total body reset.
total body reset. There we go.
That's an old one.
Yeah, ERT, end range training, and countless setbacks and flare-ups. I've been working one-to-one with Tom over the past month, and it has made all the difference. Absolutely recommend it to anyone who is thinking about it. As Tom put it, I haven't just had tightness, I've had to rewire how my hips move. So massive thank you to Tom and Jenny and for all their help over the years. This is one milestone for me, but just the start of where I want to be. Just got to master that 90-90 now, get some hip rotation. If you're getting seriously frustrated with your progress, don't give up.
Yeah.
I think that's a good one. Like you said,
If you're a
hips-
fridge brick, it takes a long time
Yeah.
to make an improvement. There's some people that we work with and it's like 2 weeks. Hey, I got my elbow done. Yay. Whereas like for me, it was months and months and months daily. And then like for like David there as well, like
Yeah.
11 months. Like
11 months, 13
it's-
days.
You've got to think in those time frames. You know,
Yeah.
if you've been really inflexible for years, you have to completely rewire everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're
And it's just-
fighting an uphill battle there.
100%. But the payoff will be so huge. You
Yeah.
like in 11 months, 13 days, looking back and going, look at the things I can do now that before were such a slog,
Mhm.
such a pain.
And those 11 months pass anyway.
Yeah,
Oh.
exactly. You might as well be further along.
Yeah.
Good place to leave it.
Yeah.
Sweet.